Well, that's an old one. That'll do. Thank you. Yeah, kia ora tātou katoa. Today I'll be talking to you about the control of Kauri dieback in a new citizen science project that started under the National Science Challenge to get the public involved in helping with the research to try and refine control tools. So I'll give a bit of background about Kauri dieback, the research on the phosphite, and then I'll introduce our Kauri Rescue team to you and what some of our aims are, what we hope to get out of this project. So Kauri is a true taonga. It's a dominant tree species. It modifies the ecosystem, and it determines what else grows in that forest. It's of huge ecological and cultural importance. Unfortunately, because of past plundering by loggers, there's very little Kauri forest left. There's only a few fragments. Unfortunately, still this is now being plundered further or decimated further by Kauri dieback. This is caused by a pathogen called Phytophthora agathidicida. It can attack Kauri trees of all ages, right from seedlings right through to large trees. It starts on the feeder roots, it spreads along into the main roots, up into the base of the tree, and once it gets to the base of the trunk, it causes these horrible bleeding cankers and lesions around the base of the tree, which spread and eventually girdle the tree and kill the tree. So it's not just devastating for the forest, it's devastating for the communities, to the people who've got a strong cultural and emotional connection to these forests. And it's been a major driver for our Kauri Rescue Citizen Science project, this groundswell of public emotion and concern about what's happening in the forest. The feeling of frustration and helplessness that people have when they just watch their treasured trees decline around them. There is some hope on the horizon. For the last 5 years or so, the Kauri dieback program has been funding research into phosphite as a tool for treating Kauri dieback. In a series of lab and glasshouse trials, we've been looking at phosphite and getting some quite interesting results. The treatment's put in this way, with an injection into the trunk using a syringe specially designed for such treatments. And our results after 5 years are looking pretty stunning. If you look at lesion advance, we're finding that most of the lesions in untreated trees have remained active, they continue to spread. Whereas in our various phosphite treatments that we've tried, all the lesions have stopped growing. And when you actually look at what's happening here, you can see in the treated trees, these lesions that normally spread rapidly around the base of the trunk have stopped growing, the bark's healed and peeled back, and you've got healthy bark underneath. In contrast, in the untreated trees, the tree tries to fight it back, but there's still these active bleeding lesions underneath that continue to spread. So it appears that the phosphite is actually helping the tree to heal. Now, this is mostly a very good news story for Kauri, but there's still quite a lot to do, and there's a lot of questions that we still need to sort out. We've got some problems with phytotoxicity in some situations that we've got to get on top of. These things are all being investigated in a new round of trials under the Kauri dieback program, but these trials are only just starting, and it takes time to get results. And the program's not really ready yet to roll these sorts of things out into the community. So meanwhile, back in the suburbs, we've got areas like this. We've got a lot of situations where Kauri is an integral part of where people live. You've got these peri-urban and rural communities such as Huia and Titirangi, where people live in amongst the Kauri trees. We've got multiple farm blocks in Kaipara and Northland where Kauri is an integral part of the communities and where people live. Now, people are seeing Kauri die in their own backyards, and there's this feeling of helplessness as they watch the trees die around them. There's also potentially quite a big financial cost. You know, when you've got to remove a large tree like this in a suburban environment, it's very expensive. But more important than that is that huge emotional cost when the people are so attached to these trees and it's so much a part of them. And it is very upsetting to see them die. There's been quite a bit of public positive publicity around the phosphite research. And the community is quite excited by it and almost demanding that these tools are released so that they can get their hands on them. And there's a lot of pressure to actually do that. And that's really been the genesis of our Kauri Rescue program. It's been driven by this community enthusiasm, by the demands to accelerate access to these control tools that has actually led to our project. We're trying to get communities and scientists to work together to try and speed up the development of and the refinement of these Kauri dieback tools, of the control tools. So our project is formally entitled Community Control of Kauri Dieback, Te Aki Kauri. But Kauri Rescue is a much better handle for the project and the team, so that's the one we've stuck with. The main principle is to foster collaboration between scientists and the community. So we hope to empower individuals and the communities by facilitating participation in the research on the control tools so that people can work on their own properties and be involved in this. Basically, we provide the information, the tools, the support to landowners so that they can then help with the research on the control tools by treating their own trees. Participants will be asked to collect a lot of data and then feed that back into the program. And this will sort of add to the whole knowledge pool around what works and what doesn't work, what's appropriate. And this will certainly accelerate the refinement and release of these treatment tools. So it's a win-win situation. The citizens get access to these tools while they're still in a development stage, and they're also contributing to the wider pool of knowledge and actually helping the bigger picture and the rollout in a much wider situation. So how will it work? Community engagement's absolutely key to all of this, and the project will sink or swim on how well we do this. We're going through a whole lot of different media. One obvious one is community meetings. We had our public launch in a hall in Titirangi on a very rainy evening a couple of months ago, and more than 100 people turned up. We were delighted. It just shows that community interest that's out there. We'll be following this up with other community meetings in other places. Radio and TV have been really kind to us so far with a number of interviews and good coverage in the newspapers and stuff. And of course, there's also our own Kauri Rescue newsletter, which any of you can get access to through the website. You can sign up for it. Merchandise. We're not trying to make money out of this, but if anyone wants any of these, I've got some bumper stickers to hand out if people would like one. This is really just to get the name and the logo out there. We're not going to make money out of it. We're doing it all at cost. We just want to get the name out there. We want to get people talking about it and getting interested and wanting to participate in the program. There's also social media. I'm a bit of a social media Luddite myself, but we've got plenty of people in the team who are really into this stuff and doing a fantastic job at getting the message out there. Community survey. This has been done targeting the areas where Kauri dieback is important, but it's open to anybody through the website. And it's really to gauge what the community knowledge is, what their understanding is, what their perception is around Kauri and around Kauri dieback. We've done a baseline survey at the start, and this will be followed up at the end of the program. Now, this is part of a much wider community engagement study and a wider social science study that's being led by Dr. Marie McEntee and Nels Barton. And this is really looking at these community engagement aspects of the project, in particular, what works, what doesn't work, and hoping that we can maybe adapt some of the things that we find to other situations. It's it's a study of our study within the project. So far, hang on, I'll just go back a bit. The public participation, we've got about 50 landowners already who have expressed an interest in participating in the program, which is really great. So the first step when these people actually, the first step is to get the properties diagnosed to make sure that it is indeed Kauri dieback that they've got on their property. Once that's been done, the participants are going to be provided with a treatment kit. Now, this has got everything they're going to need for treating the trees, for doing assessments and all of the measurements that we would like them to take and follow through. There's a fairly comprehensive field guide that will help them through every step in the process. right through from the record keeping to the treatment. People will be given various options on some of the treatments they applied, but they will be asked to follow a standard protocol so that we can get reasonably reliable data from it. So there's a bit of landowner choice in there as well. They'll be asked to fill out some quite complex and detailed data sheets. It's not a trivial task. There's going to be quite a lot of work involved in this. And we've got an online data entry system which will, well, okay, an online data entry system which will be backed up with hard copies for people who aren't comfortable with that. And we're also doing an instructional video which will help back up the other aspects of it. We've rolled this out with a pilot group where we've actually gone through the process with them, set them loose on their own properties, and then ask them to give us feedback on what worked and what didn't work for them. And basically the feedback's been really good so far. We've done a bit of tweaking on the manual, but it's looking quite good at this stage. So I've only talked so far about phosphite, but we're also open. I suppose the reason we're only talking about phosphite at the moment is that's the most advanced in terms of what we know about. But we're open to all sorts of other solutions, and in particular Mātauranga Māori solutions. They're not as far down the track. In fact, there's a big part of our project is going to be to try and find out what is out there that could potentially be incorporated within this sort of program. So it's quite a strong aspect of our project, led by Waitangi Wood and Nick Waipara. One thing we think is very important is that we have a really good discussion about the impact of non-traditional applications in the context of Te Ao Māori. And a good example of that is obviously the use of phosphite. How does that fit in the Māori paradigm? And I think it's very important we have that conversation. There's also an opportunity to encourage tangata whenua to provide potential Mātauranga Māori solutions. And then if there are suitable things there and things that people are happy for us to work with, they could be then made available to the community who are looking at potential solutions to incorporate them into the program. There's also an opportunity to look at cultural health indicators and to incorporate them into the measurements that we're doing. We can also look at the implications on the Māori role as kaitiaki and try and get better interaction between Pākehā and Māori in this whole space, and I think that could be a really positive outcome. Now, we were asked to put up a crazy and ambitious idea. Well, mine, I don't know how crazy or ambitious it is, but why not directly involve the general public in doing research too and fill in your own space here? In my case, it might be to help us refine control tools for Kauri dieback. I mean, as scientists, we can tend to be a little bit elitist and arrogant about the work we do sometimes. But I think with a little guidance and in certain projects, there's a wealth of enthusiasm and ability out there in the public that we could tap into and use. And by engaging with people, we give them the opportunity, we empower them to actually be involved and be part of the work. This will help foster community spirit. It gives them some real ownership. It'll help with the buy-in when you do actually have something successful at the end of it, and therefore general acceptance. It won't just be some boffin doing the work and telling them all about it and hoping that they're going to accept it as gospel. This has a whole lot of challenges, which I suspect I'm not going to have time to go through in any detail, but engagement's an important part of it. We've got to get in touch with the right people and keep them enthused. And I think that's an important part of it too. We've got to keep them interested so that as scientists we can get the information that we need, and it's an ongoing sort of thing. Data integrity, somebody mentioned that in a question earlier, and I think it is really important and something that does worry me a little bit. But if our protocols are good enough, I think we can get some very good reliable data out of this. We've got all sorts of ethical issues, I won't go through them. We've also got to watch out for over-enthusiasm, people running off in the bush with their electric drill and injectors and injecting public forests and other people's trees, and we've already had a few suggestions on that one. So, yeah, we've got to be a bit careful. So my final slide, what we hope to get out of this, there's a whole heap of technical things that will help us to accelerate the delivery of treatments for Kauri dieback control. But there's also these community outcomes that I think are equally important. We'll get better knowledge of Kauri dieback among the community and some genuine engagement in the whole program. The empowerment of individuals so they don't just sit there feeling helpless as the forest is dying around them. There's something they can do actively to try and help that. we should learn a little bit about effective community engagement, about what works and what doesn't work, and this could potentially be useful in other projects as well. And I would like to hope that out of this will come some sort of hub, some sort of focus groups that can help with the rollout of control tools when it does get to that stage. I like to think that Kauri Rescue as an entity will live long beyond this National Science Challenge project. So I'd like to acknowledge the National Science Challenge for funding this work, and certainly the team that's behind me with this. They're a fantastic team. They're really energetic, they're very enthusiastic and very capable, and I think we're going to have a lot of fun on this project. And I will finish with this slide. I always like to put this one up at the end. It just reminds us how beautiful the Ngāhere is. And here we've got Tāne Mahuta holding up the sky, and long may he continue. Kia toitau hikari. Kia ora.